Daddy Mac. Dan's 30 years got our way, trading life and markets every day. Rusty's chained to the mines, digging deep day by day. But when Option Omega releases new features, he's free to come out and play option. Omega, you're trading home, where every move makes you feel less alone.
Bum 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 bum.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You guys doing okay?
Doing good.
Walking and talking, Troy. How are you?
What's the day? If I was any better, I'd be dead or something like that.
Better than I deserve?
Better than I deserve. Yeah. I don't know where I got that one from. Close. Yeah.
Close.
Troy, I like with the vehicle you're in, you got a beautiful clear of the sky. I mean, it's kind of nice panoramic, maybe a little bit.
That's so beautiful. That's not real. That's a green screen, right?
That's a green screen. I need to build a desk in this thing. This is what I need to build a desk.
I need to build a desk.
I'll just tell you this. I know this from having a 10-year-old who likes to look at random things on YouTube. There's a whole YouTube trend of exactly what you're talking about. And it infiltrates my algorithm when my 10-year-old watches the videos of people building desks in their car.
Are you serious? That's a trend going on?
Oh, yeah.
A desk in a car with the.
I mean, it's the trend is living out of my Tesla is the trend. Yeah.
Wow.
It's kind of interesting. They're getting away from the machine by living in a machine. It's interesting.
And it's in a Tesla.
Yes, that's the trend.
Always in a Tesla. I think you could get like Starlink. I don't know anything about Starlink. You could get it and travel with it and have a little internet access wherever you go, stuff like that. So listen, I'll tell you what's traveling wherever we go. Wherever the market goes, it wants to go down. The market is in a crazy spot. Yesterday was a wild day.
Yeah.
You had up 20, I think, at some point, and then the afternoon hit and it was just a grind down, and then of course some short covering into the close. So yeah,
not that much short covering.
No, I mean you get a 30-point pop into
they're back again, and
we were right back down again. I was looking at futures last night, had some people over, and I just kind of, as they were talking about traveling and things like that, and I was just keep looking at my phone like a good host should, and checking futures. And just to cool down, I didn't look at the time frame, but it looked like within 30 minutes we went down like 50 basically, and then just kind of stayed there.
This is and we're down 32 markets. Troy, what number does SPX have to fall to before we can lead with a markets in turmoil? I mean, here's the thing, we're still going to be at like 66.40, 66.50. Well, depending on how the market reacts to the OO show, as always. But I mean, it does. Like again, I think back to 6 months ago, and the only person, the people who believed we were up here were just Tom Lee and his buddies. And Tom Lee always thinks we should be 30% higher. So what does it matter? But I look at it and it's like, well, we're still at 6,600. Like we were at 4,900 in April. How far do we have to go before we get a markets in turmoil, do you think, guys?
I think of bringing up, is it Eddie Murphy? Sell Mortimer, sell. I mean, you look at VIX, looks like it's going to open around 24. But again, I still look at, it feels a lot worse, doesn't it, Troy? I mean, you look at these big candles, markets in turmoil, and then, what's the S&P up for the year? It's still up 13%. We're in big turmoil. We've had 2 20% years and a 13.
Yeah.
This needs to, I mean, I think VIX is basically saying at this point, I'm ready to boogie, right? I'm ready to start going up. Help me. we need a good 100-point down day, get the VIX near 30. Then Troy moves in the Tesla for at least a week or week and a half, Matt. What do you think?
Put buying on the move.
Put
There he
buying
is.
on the move.
On the move. I mean, listen, I haven't enjoyed this one as much, this drop, just because I had some positions on that were long Delta, and they're just not behaving well in this. But you do what you can. I'm not, obviously not. Those aren't going to kill me, but I feel like the VIX. It would help me if we got into like an actual contango state in VIX. That would help me a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and listen, here's what's interesting. Is any of this pre-running Nvidia? Because
I think so. I think it is. Yeah.
Nvidia, I mean, Thursday could be a big day in the market, and then Friday the after effects of the tsunami, because you've got retailers, that's the small end of it. You got the jobs thing and maybe the first real number that's come out in a little bit. But Nvidia is a big, because I think a lot of the AI and the tech, when you say, it's kind of like it's on the ropes a bit. And you get Nvidia come out and just say, hey, things aren't good. It could get a little kind of a race to get out the door.
I mean, it seems like there's a little, I don't know if I'll use the term, I'm going to coin this term, I haven't heard anybody use it, narrative exhaustion. And it's like, I think by now, ChatGPT came out in 2022, like publicly large scale. People had obviously been using AI before that, but that's when it kind of hit the mainstream. And basically for 3 years, we've just been, this narrative that AI is going to change the world. And then a lot of people use AI to some level in their jobs. And you ask it and you see a hallucination and you're like, Grok, that's not right. Please, Grok, you're hallucinating. And then it does it again. And you're like, well, okay. I mean, there's certainly use cases for AI, which are very good. As an autocomplete, especially, is how a very smart friend of mine trained me to think about it, who sometimes shows up on the show on Fridays. But the narrative and the resources, like you listen to some of these numbers that the OpenAI people talk about how much they're going to invest in data centers and chip factories and all this. And it's like, man, these numbers are like larger than GDPs of many countries. Like, is there a little bit, I saw the headline, Peter Thiel sold his Nvidia, and it was like, he owned, $100 million or whatever it was. I don't know. Somebody from chat can look. I'm sure they saw this story and correct me if I'm wrong. And I probably am. But the point is, that's not even a drippity drop in the bucket. That's not going to move the market. But all we've been hearing is these numbers that are just in another scale. And, the market goes through cycles where different sectors take the lead. It would be interesting to see, as a percent of the whole S&P or of the whole total stock market, tech in comparison to some of those recent times, like oil, 50 years ago or whatever. It'd be interesting to see that, because it does feel like there's maybe a little bit of narrative exhaustion going on. But what do I know?
What do you think about, just a thought? I mean, I just think I don't know much. I don't follow Warren Buffett, a lot of people follow him, but it seemed unusual. He's come into the tech sector, and maybe it seemed like, what did it say? Google had the lowest PE out of the.
Yeah.
Anybody want to comment on that at all, or what him moving into that sector?
Troy?
No, thoughts? I mean, I think he's just trying to look for a deal, and unfortunately, it's in a Versace store. He's looking for a deal right now, and so
we don't. This isn't a show where we usually spend a ton of time digging into individual companies and whatnot. There's a lot of shows that do. We do just dip our toe in that water, and it's like, if these companies weren't spending so much on AI build outs, Google is an incredible cash generation machine. And like it really is. And a lot of these companies have spit out cash.
Well,
and they're go ahead, Troy.
No, sorry to interrupt, but if you think about it from Warren Buffett's perspective of that's an interesting narrative, Matt, because Warren Buffett does not like companies that take on a ton of debt as a general rule.
That's right.
And so if you think about Google's AI endeavor, they're really the only company that actually has the cash to pay for it. Everybody else is just taking
a novel idea.
Yeah, I know. Just taking on debt. And
I mean, you could argue Apple too, but they're not even in it.
They're not going to be
Apple's
in AI. I
in
know.
AI.
No, Google, and Google does have a strategic advantage with the search. That they can just pop AI in your face all day anyway. And so, listen, to me, the whole industry would be great if it crashed. And that doesn't mean to say that it doesn't come back, but there's a lot of fluff in AI. I think that's why Nvidia has dropped so hard over the last week or two. It doesn't take a lot of it. Just a couple rumors can make something. When you're dealing with just like Nvidia's earnings, the thing that's crazy is like they would have to make like $1 trillion to pay for their market, like
$2 quadrillion.
Yeah, the amount of money they would have to generate to actually warrant their valuation is insane.
I mean, for context, remember when we had the first $1 trillion company? It was in the past. It was recent, like a past couple of years. Nvidia's current market cap is $4.5 trillion. They have pulled back, to Troy's point. They were at 210, and they're at 185. They started the year at 138. They're up still almost 40% year to date. Interestingly, Google started the year at 180. They're up 180, about 190. Google. They're close. They're actually green pre-market. They're going to be up close to 290 at open. So, if people are cooling on Nvidia, there's still a lot of cash on the side, and the comments about the health of the economy and whatever, what we've seen in the past couple of years is rotations from one stock into another, and people go from $1 trillion stock into another $1 trillion stock. Market's down 30 points pre-market. We're still up 12 for the year. I don't know. I wish I had a crystal ball. If you have a crystal ball, chat, please send us one. Drop it in the chat so we can use it. But I don't think markets are in turmoil yet. But man, if this VIX wakes up a little more, like you said, Dan, we might open close to 24. So we're getting a little shimmy,
The other curveball. Do you look at? I mean, I didn't used to look at these as much, but you look at the different sectors in the SPX every day, and it's one thing if you say, okay, everybody's getting out of the market and you see all the sectors that are red. But lately you've been seeing some, okay, they've been getting out of XLK or whatever a little bit, but they were in some other stuff. I haven't seen all red. And guess.
Well, and again, this goes back to there's a lot of reason people buy the funds. Troy, what do you think? Market's up 12. Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world, what do you think they're up this year? Just take a guess. I know you don't know.
I think Apple, this is my guess. Apple, I think, has underperformed all the AA stocks. So I think Apple's closest to an index. So I'm going to say Apple's up about 10%.
They're up 6%. Dan, your turn. What do you think Meta's up? Facebook.
Since I got it on my iPhone, I'm looking at it. I know.
Correct.
I know. It's 0.46% for the year.
Yeah. It's they're down pre-market 1.5%, and they're basically flat for the year. Tesla gonna open up about flat for the year.
Well, Tesla's been on a tear, and spoken from a Tesla. If you can't trust this guy,
right?
I don't know what to tell you.
What can you trust?
Yeah, I mean the guy with the halo. I got a little halo over my head there. Or a nuclear bomb. That's the picture right there. Like a little Troy stock picks make your head explode. Just like
Troy, listen, I have to say the audio quality is incredible, and the chat is trying to help us out. They have suggestions of adding Starlink to your car. Listen, I like it. I like it. We might have to talk about this for the budget because this sound quality, it sounds like you're in a studio, my friend.
Well, I think if I could
and
just
a
drape
beautiful
the whole
green
thing,
screen background.
a green screen, yeah. I mean, listen, Tesla started the year rough, and the fact that they're flat is insane because if you remember, they hit the chairman of Tesla and President Trump got into a little spat earlier this year, and Tesla dropped quite a bit, and they've rebounded quite a bit as well. So Tesla's like it's weird. Tesla's always been its own thing. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. It's not AI.
They are the original meme stock.
They are.
It's hard to argue that anything is like Tesla as far as meme status.
Troy, it's like betting against LeBron. You can't do it.
No, you can't do it, and you shouldn't do it. It's the wrong thing to do. So, listen, I want to continue our IWM talk yesterday because the chat came through. Shout out Stephen V. I want to look at something, and again, I'm not saying this is ready for
prime time.
We should do Fish. You're right. We did say we're going to do a Tesla week.
That might be for January.
Yeah, I'll tell you the secret. Matt and I found a crazy good Tesla test, and we just started trading it, and we don't want to tell anybody. So we've got other ones that we can talk about as well. So anyway, let's look at this IWM and go from there. Stephen V, shout out Stephen V. I'm going to put this in the chat right now. And here it goes. There it is. And I'm going to put it in the Discord. And there it is. And there it goes. Matt, what are we looking at?
Looks like a variation on the test we looked at yesterday, which is a 6 DTE 10 wide IWM butterfly, iron butterfly. So it's a selling a strangle, essentially selling a strangle, buying the wings, straddle. Yeah, sorry, straddle, selling a straddle, buying the wings. And it is basically, it has some exits, but the exits are really all short long exits. When you look at them, I would guess as far as the number of exits, they're triggered by the short long. So there's when the short long ratio increases and when the short long ratio contracts, that's going to be the primary rail that the test operates on.
And a big part of it, in my mind, were the dates. Shout out Stephen V for this are the dates IWM became dailies. So it's the equivalent of doing SPX dailies.
Oh, that is shout out to you, Stephen. That is very, very helpful.
Yeah. And so the max VIX 30 basically keeps you. And I mean, again, Dan, that makes a lot of sense to me. Are you telling people to put on butterflies, equal distant butterflies in a 30 VIX? Probably not, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, this is a range-bound trade. If we start going over 30, the market's getting hammered. That usually doesn't bode well for those things. So having a limit makes a lot of sense.
I think the one thing I wanted to show you real quick. So this is what it looks like modeled out. And obviously the rails and everything aren't there. Can't visualize rails on the front end like that. But this is a butterfly. Right? Welcome to a butterfly land. It also looks like a Christmas tree. And for that reason, you will seeing a lot of this type of butterfly stuff on all Option Omega gear and shows for the next 2 months. Christmas cards, things like that. So what we're looking at in this instance would be the shorts are 232, strike price of 232. And the put is 222. The call wing is 242. And so it's equal distant. You'll notice this is kind of what I thought was interesting. The short long ratio is showing 6.19. Now that could change on market open. That the first kind of minute can make that get a little wonky. But for our purposes, we've set a min short long ratio of 8. So we actually wouldn't put this on under these circumstances. Now that's I think that's useful to see personally, that short long ratio in real time, because you can still model it out, but you just look, it's a quick glance and say, I'm not going to put this on, right? You want short long ratio to be at least 8 in our test. And so I'll show you that real quick, just for those who are newer. We're doing this right here. Min short long ratio of 8, max of 14. And so Dan, what do you want to have happen in this butterfly? What are all the things we want to go on with it?
Yeah, with this, I mean, again, butterfly by definition, yes. By action, more just a short straddle, right? But what's interesting, Troy, and I think it's interesting, just backtracking a second, you had mentioned the short long ratio, but you would think, just without doing the back test, and you would think, well, wait a second, VIX is a pretty decent volatility now, right? Not crazy. Rut's got to be up there. Wow, this is pretty picky, to have a short long of 8. I think that's interesting, because I would think inherently, okay, vol's high here. But the testing, and that's what's nice with the testing, it proves it at 8. But here, yeah, I mean, you're getting decent extrinsic value. I mean, it doesn't put it on today. Now, one thing you could say, I might, yeah. So I'm kind of miffed by that a little bit. That's why I'd like to go with the testing, and that's what's wonderful about the testing, because wouldn't you think? Well, I'd surely do one today. The vols have to be up. Yeah. But I think that the thing about these short straddles is opposed to a foundation of a short strangle, which is a DC, Iron Condor, double diagonal. When you're doing the difference between the two is the minute you sell that sucker, the extrinsic value is just like, let me out of here. So you're getting better decay on these things, but it can also, I mean, I like it because it's 6 days. Again, you keep thinking, okay, it's 0 day. No, it's not 0 day. So you have a lot of room here. And yeah, is Troy the sun really shines as you get if you could even get, the thing with a straddle is, even if you get a couple days in the trade, if there's ever a trade, if you said, would I be more ready to take off earlier, a short straddle or a short strangle, which would encompass Iron Condor, double calendar? It's a short straddle, right? Because you're getting, you're getting
juice. Yeah.
You're getting that juice quickly.
Yep.
As opposed to that. Anyway.
I think that's exactly right. And one of the things that short long is interesting. I mean, basically, Matt, what's that telling you? If we're trying to do a minimum and it's under that.
Yeah, it's just the juice. I always think of short long as simply the juice in relationship to the squeeze. That's how I think of short long. And what I mean by that is, Dan has a great video series on the YouTube channel called The Doubles, and it goes through a couple different strategies, and an iron butterfly isn't one of them, but it would fit in the same category in that it's selling strikes, which have a short, and longing strikes, which will be your long ratio, and so the short long ratio is still valuable. So Good Origami Man has a comment. I noticed the same thing. Something is sus with wide big ass. It's not sus. It's just liquidity. Good Origami Man. So that is something you want to take into consideration. You can run it both ways. I will note slippage on this. We always, encourage people to put slippage on this. 15 cents entry slippage and 5% exit slippage is pretty significant amount of slippage. So that's something else to consider on IWM. That's a lot. So, but that's a function, Good Origami, that's just a function of the ticker. So, when people ask us, they want tickers they want options on Bob's Corner Store, they want to back test it. It's like, no, Bob's Corner Store has 0 volume. IWM is actually a super high volume ticker. And it still has some of those wide bid-ask spreads.
Yeah, this is actually a good like the way you look at this is you basically say, okay, the opening price and the closing price are basically the same. That probably checked out. You can just look at the numbers.
Yeah, and you can pull up some of those wide bid asks are legit. Some of them will not be. You can pull up the trade log and get an idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, good comment. Good point.
And the example, and it's actually the perfect example to Matt's point about like, be careful what you wish for, because like Nvidia 4 years ago, if we had Nvidia in their back testing, every one of those rows would be like that. Yes. Like it just would be wide bid ask all day. So
yeah. Like always, we're showing the concept here, and hopefully this discussion about short long really brings the context into focus here, and understanding that, to kind of finish off this discussion, Troy, the relationship between the shorts and the longs. How much juice are you getting when you squeeze?
That's right. And the whole concept of that vol play, I mean, you're playing for vol reduction. And what we talked about yesterday was we're trying to test, and we don't know if this is going to be great in the long run, but we're interested in it. We're trying to use rails that we haven't used before. And so we've got these call put, to exit 110, but to be honest,
you're never going to fire.
Yeah, to be honest, this is actually going to be firing most of the time. And they fire, you show the validity of it by how long you're in a trade. Like you're in the trade half the time on average, right? Which means one of these things is firing. And so if you go back to the model, what's interesting about that is it means basically vol is usually doing this. That's how the short longs are working. That's how vol's working. Vol's doing that, or vol's doing that. That's like anything in life, right? One of those two things. And so what's happening is if the short long's ramping up 500%, what that means is basically your shorts are coming in and your longs are just kind of staying put, right? If it goes under 7, what that means basically is your shorts are not gaining value in relation to the longs. And that's the point. Steven's great. Steven is, listen, researcher. Like, I really do want to come up with some badges in Discord, because Steven has done great work on the OSO, just showing us some research. Yes. The exit when short long ratio moves 500% is roughly equivalent to a 30% profit target. And so that's kind of what we wanted to show, which is to basically say there's a way to test things and maybe a way to trade things without using profit targets, just using the function of volatility. And
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
As options traders, that's what we do, Dan, right? I mean, we're just trading volatility.
Well, and it also tells you, I mean, sometimes we forget here, volatility is a very good indicator in reality where the market's going. We don't look at that enough, but you think about it. If someone says to me, VIX is 12, 13, 14, 15, and maybe 16. Dan, you're in a cave in Brazil. What's going on in the market? We're going up. We're definitely having a ton more up days. But when we get to, so people are like, well, the market's going to go down. Well, wait till, if VIX isn't at least 17 or 18, we're not really going to, we need 17 or 18, at least, it's 17, 18. We're getting some down days. And then 19, 20, now it's, put on Troy can put the VIX jacket on. He's getting ready. He's coming to the party night. So I think VIX can give you some pretty good information. We are not going to correct in the market. Impossible. If VIX is 16 or under, it won't happen. Let's go back and look. So sometimes it can give us patience but we're as human beings, we want to predict, right? And the other side of the coin, you say, okay, VIX is 14, the expression buy puts when you can, not when you have to. And a lot of funds will, when VIX gets, I remember Karen, the super trader, who was a friend of mine, And she was, you hear in Think or Swim lore and everything. But that's when she would. I remember talking to her a few times. VIX was 12 or 13, and she was thankful for that because she loaded up on puts because she had a fund of a lot of short puts and different things. And so, buy when you can. Not that you can't, like Troy, would you agree? Not that you can't, it's like, if you said to me, when would you ideally just arbitrarily like to do a reverse Iron Condor? I'd say from a volatility point of view, when the vol was low and I thought it was going to go up. But when you have, if the game's already started, if we're having big candles like we've been, you can jump in, right? You don't need, obviously Thursday is a huge day potentially for catalysts that we can have just like we thought Friday could be a day where you can move up or down 60. Thursday's a day like that, right? And it could flow into Friday. Anyways.
I think that's exactly right. I mean, vol, it's tough to buy a VIX product when we're at 23, but here's the beauty of the market. If you need to, you can, that's
you can. And I'll just remind folks that in April, when we had the Liberation Day moves, VIX had been elevated. In my mind, I would call it an elevated VIX.
VIX was over 20 on going into Liberation Day.
And it had been for a couple months because we had, if you think back to the days when we were in the low sixes, like I remember 2 weekends in a row in January, we had huge moves. We had that move, the DeepSeek move. Wasn't it the DeepSeek move one weekend where DeepSeek came out and, announced that they had this much faster training process, and it caused like a 2% move on the weekend. We had another one in January. So VIX had been elevated for quite some time. So like VIX can go, like eventually VIX will go down, but it might go higher first.
And when you say it's all relative, like for this Troy's or Stevens and Troy's with the 6-day thing, let's say you did this 6 times or 7 times or 10 times, be at the money. So you're selling all this extrinsic, as long as let's say you're doing it at 23 volatility. You say, well, I would never buy insurance or something at a 23. Well, if I sold it at 23, I'd have no problem buying it at 23, right? If you did this trade 10 times, would I have trouble buying a strangle a few days out or 2 weeks out? No. I mean, just to maybe give you some, and again, the idea of long strangle, remember, when we do this trade, for the most part, you're getting short deltas on the way up, long deltas on the way down, right? You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have positive theta and positive gamma. That would be illegal, right? Then you'd be arrested for cornering the market. But
for winning.
Yeah, if you have this short strain, this type of trade, you have a short trail, you say, okay, I'm getting short deltas on the way up, long deltas on the way down. Okay, could I go out and buy a little hedging or buy a little insurance, get net long some units? Like, who's the gentleman in Mark? Who's the one who has the fund?
Anderson, Mark
Anderson. So he does, like, at least that's what I gather. Am I correct in that? Like, he'll sell a lot of options in the 0 day via, however, but at least he seemed to allude to he gets net long units. He's net long.
Peter talked about that on our Tasty Trade when we talked about him during a crash. What matters is net long units. Like, that's what matters.
Well, yeah, and that's what traders would do in the pit. They'd be
the ratio back spreads.
Yeah, they would be short a lot of units, maybe with the meat, right? A lot of the extrinsic value, and then they're just net long units. If the world ended, they're net long units, and it's an insurance concept, right?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, net long. Another way to look at it would be long gamma. In the long run.
Yeah.
And the gamma curve can flip way down, so it doesn't necessarily have to be long gamma all the time. But in an ultimate sense of a tail event, being long gamma is the key to these things. And so may we be able to talk more about that, Dan, tomorrow. Who knows? Hopefully, maybe the market has gone up. I need the market to either go up 100 points today or down 500 points today.
My goodness.
I'd be fine
need,
with that.
Need is a strong word, Troy.
I demand that the market.
Yeah, I must.
Yeah.
So you're long. So you're net long gamma is what you're saying.
I am net long gamma. That's right.
And that's, see, to me, that, that was the thing in the pits. We had to get one in the trading pits. But the trading pit, it wasn't like market makers were putting big bets on, we think it's going up or down. I mean, they would if they could get a cheap, very cheap shot. But it was usually through the avenue, like Troy's doing, of long gamma, because they're saying, I don't know which way, but I think we're going to move. And so they have a position that's going to get them long deltas on the way up, short on the way down.
Yeah.
And in a portfolio, especially even in a portfolio margin account, you can do it. But I think the reverse Iron Condor is a great economical strategy in the retail that kind of mirrors it, right? I mean, the pit, we use more ratio back spreads, but ratio back spreads in a Reg T account, a regular margin account, they're disastrous, right? They eat up, your yield stinks. But, whereas a reverse Iron Condor, you can make 60, 70%, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a much better trade.
Yeah, I think so.
Or more, depending on how reversed. And what your deltas are.
I mean, Nassim Taleb, kind of how I learned options, or why I learned options. He definitely wasn't the teacher of options because he's esoteric as heck. But I remember him saying, one of the and this has been true for me as a trader. His thing was, I make a little bit of money if we don't do hardly anything in the market. I lose a little bit of money if we do a little thing in the market, and I make a lot of money if we do a big thing in the market. And that's kind of what we do. I mean, that's kind of like, as a long gamma, like I've got range bound stuff on any given day. I'm happy for it not to do anything, but as long as vol stays elevated. On days this past week, I lose money because the market moves a little. That's just the reality of it. If the market moves a lot, we're fine, and
it's good. And that's nice because everybody has different thresholds of risk aversion or whatever. And that's the beautiful thing with options. I mean, and to me, it's like, why don't people get it? Right? Why, people's like, well, I do a very conservative strategy. I do a covered right. That's real conservative, even though it has the same graph as a net short put. Whereas options, you can control whatever anxieties, whatever thing you can do there. You can buy as little insurance, as more insurance, have enough, hedging going on. I think it's wonderful. And I wish more people would take advantage of it, because, all you need is a couple years of, I know it's unthinkable, of going down in the market, but I mean,
never heard of that.
What is that? A couple of years?
What is it? I mean, I'm not getting my 20% up a year in my.
It is funny that if you really think about the time frame, like it really is years of going up and weeks of going down at a time.
Yeah.
And the weeks, I mean, it's the class. I mean, the elevator up, staircase down, whatever you want to call it. But it is funny. Now, this is why this is painful, is this is a staircase down. And it throws people off when it's a staircase down. But
that's what 2022 was, and 2022 was a great year for sticky vol. So we'll see. The market right now, final check, down. I think we're down the most since the show started.
37.
We're down since the show started. Markets in turmoil.
Approaching the 755 candles.
And VIX
758 candles.
We may hit 24 today, which is
may hit 24.
Getting there. It's still not full. It's not anywhere near full mode, panic, but it's getting alive a little bit.
20. Yeah. But now we got to 25. I remember Dan and I were in Chicago. We got to 25 and we immediately just rip roared away from that. Like 8 points in vol. 25, I think, is a little bit of a line in the sand for vol. Now, again, you can't treat vol that way. There's no technical analysis on it. Although people really do try. And
people do it.
People crack me up with that. But I do think also we're at we can talk more about this tomorrow morning. I think we're at we were around yesterday, the 50-day moving average.
Yes.
That's a big number.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
But the hard thing is, are we really going to drop down below before Nvidia earnings?
I don't know.
Maybe.
Well,
you got Venezuela.
Narrative exhaustion, Troy.
Yeah.
Well, one thing is interesting. If you look at, you look at VIX, over the years, and you say, can it hang low for a while? Absolutely. Can it hang at 13, 14, 15 for months? Fine. But historically, it just generally, when it's up there, it doesn't hang there anywhere near as it does on the low end. Now, I'm not saying, so you look at this and say, well, would you buy a put vertical debit spread in VIX, betting that the, maybe 40 days out or something that it would come down? Yes, I think that's a reasonable play, but it is a little dicey right here because that 24 could be 30 in a heartbeat, right?
Yeah.
With the Nvidia thing, or it could be 18.
That's
so
exactly
it's a interesting thing here that we have a really nice volatility here the day before the big kahuna.
I love it. That's exactly my thought, and I'm so good at predicting that I do think I will make another prediction. I don't know if we're going to get, like in 2017 when Trump's first presidency, first term, VIX was like 9. I mean, it got super low. I don't think we're going to get anywhere near that this term, and part of that is this isn't a normal lame duck presidency.
Right.
This is a lame duck that has machine guns.
Yeah,
like it's a different lame duck type situation. So I think we're gonna be in for some good vol over the next couple of years, but we'll see what happens with it. We don't have to wait a couple another years for us to be back tomorrow, though, because we'll just be back tomorrow. And so
stay safe, everybody.
Stay safe, and we will see you guys soon.